thinking about the things you've seen, thinking about things you've read. Raising your hands, please. Tell me one story that you heard or read or watched that you learned a lesson from.
Three Little Pigs.
Okay, Three Little Pigs. Absolutely, I agree. Sarah?
Cinderella.
I would agree with Cinderella as well.
Old Yeller.
Fair enough, I'll take Old Yeller. Shamsa?
Flower.
Flower? Who's that?
The movie.
I've never heard of this.
Is it precious? Is it precious?
Flower? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Haley?
That one movie that Jim was reading the book about.
Speak? No, First Green Wallflower. Okay, absolutely.
Rachel Challenge.
Rachel Challenge. Good. So,
With Dixie.
excuse me. The whole idea of learning a lesson from something you read is what we're focusing on today. So we're going to be looking at fables. Now, during Unit 2, way back towards the beginning of the year, when we addressed fables, it really was, I mentioned it, we talked about it for about a brief second, and then we moved on. And that was because we were trying to make up some time. But now we've made up that time, and as we review for the end of course test, I want to make sure that you guys know what a fable is. Now, here's the nice thing. You're not going to be analyzing fables. All you're going to have to do is be able to identify it and understand if what you're reading is a fable and why. So it's not particularly difficult, but it is something we have to address. So first things first, we're going to take about 7 minutes of notes, 10 minutes. Open up your notebooks or open up to a page that you can take some notes. Do it quickly. We got a lot to accomplish today.
Hold on.
What did you say?
We're going to take some notes, so
Thank
on
you.
this to do that. Right? Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Fables. All right.
Huh? You'll have we didn't have next
Welcome.
we got
That's wrong. You need to give them
Renee? What?
okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
the homework.
So first and foremost,
Oh, you want that? You sit fast, my man.
first and foremost, when we talk about fables, this is what we're talking about. It is a brief tale or a brief story that usually has characters that are animals. Now notice I put usually. Does that mean always?
Hello?
No. So it usually has animals as characters and act like humans to tell a moral lesson or to satirize human conduct. Now, go ahead and jot that down, and then we're going to talk about what satirize human conduct means. So I guess that is probably unfamiliar to most of you.
Yep. Definition of fable.
Yeah, so that's why I think
Excuse me, Mr.
From
Klein.
the brief tales or
everything there is definition.
even the definition part?
No.
We had to copy all of that?
Yes. Oh, look.
Who's?
So as you guys finish writing this, I do want to focus on the last 3 words there. Satirize human conduct. Just raising of hands. Does anybody know what the word satire means?
Satire.
Satire, not flat tire. Satire. Not sitting in a tire.
You just said sat.
Sitting? Satire is not setting.
Is that what animals?
Nope. When we talk about satire, guys, we're talking about usually writing, though sometimes not, something that is kind of poking fun at something else. It's kind of poking fun at it. So when we talk about satirizing human conduct, what we're really saying there is making fun of the things humans do. It's making fun of the things humans do.
So what's the definition of fables, bro?
This is the definition of fables. When we talk about satirize human conduct, what that means is making fun of the things humans do. If I were you, I would make a note of that.
You didn't say conduct. You just said satire.
Satirize human
How
conduct
do you spell that?
means making fun of the things humans do.
In the behavior. Conduct is behavior.
Conduct means behavior. Okay, may I move on from this? Some other things we need to know about fables. Number one, they're fiction. Clearly they're fiction. Animals don't talk.
Birds.
Animals don't carry on conversation. They can mimic sounds. Secondly, their purpose is to entertain. I do want to draw a distinction between whether you are entertained and the story's purpose being to entertain. It's entirely possible that a story that is meant to entertain you might bore Jeremy to death. Does that mean its purpose isn't to entertain?
No.
Okay. So just make sure when you're looking at a fable, make sure even if you're bored, doesn't mean that they're not trying to entertain you. You got to put yourself in the mind of the author. What is the author's purpose? To entertain.
They're always trying to do that.
Fables will always attempt to entertain you.
Why?
Because that's what fables do.
How?
How? By telling you a story.
What do you mean entertaining? Like how?
You just said tell us the
By telling a
I
story.
don't know that, but what kind of entertainment? Sad? Or
Entertain is just to, doesn't matter. It's just trying to entertain you.
any time fly?
May I turn?
Yep.
I don't.
No. Nobody.
Do I got stairs to stamped to my forehead too?
The next one.
What was the last word? Meant what?
Entertain. The next one. They are poetic and have allegorical significance. I want you guys to write down number 3 and then put your pencils down. I'll have you write 4 and 5 in a moment. But write down 3 and then put your pencils down.
They are poetic.
When we talk about allegorical significance, I'm going to go ahead and assume that's another one of those combinations of words that people don't know. An allegory, don't write anything down yet. An allegory is a story that means something else. Let me give you an example. How many of you have ever read the story The Tortoise and the Hare?
I did.
Okay. Haley, in 30 words or less, please summarize the story of The Tortoise and the Hare.
Where they race each other and they think that the tortoise is going to lose because he's so slow and the hare is so fast, but it turns out that the tortoise won because he took his time.
That's more than that.
Good. So,
No, it's not.
The Tortoise and the Hare, on the surface, at the literal level, is a story where the turtle races a rabbit and the turtle wins. Phoebe, did you have your hand up as knowing the story? Who was over there who knew that?
I did.
Sarah, what is the meaning, the figurative meaning of that story?
Don't expect the unexpected.
Okay, that's one interpretation. It's not the most common.
Take your time and rush.
That's what I
So
was
take your time. I'm gonna take that and twist it a little bit. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, slow and steady wins the race. Sometimes it's not about how fast you can do it, but by just kind of chipping away at it. That story is an allegorical significance. It's teaching you a different meaning. So, under allegorical significance, make a note what it means. It's a story that symbolizes something else.
Where?
Under allegorical significance, just make a note that that means a story that symbolizes something else. A story that symbolizes something else. Once you have that written down, go ahead and write down 4 and 5.
Sorry for number 5. Ain't the clock, the boy who cried wolf? Ain't that a fable? That has more than 2 or 3 sisters. Oh.
What is number 5?
Usually has no more than 2 or 3 characters, and it is short. Now, I do want to make one note of that word short as well. Many fables are a paragraph or 2 long. They're not long at all. Some are like 2 pages. So, I got you, Tim, 1 second. So when we're looking at a story and you're trying to decide if it's a fable or not, if it matches all the criteria of a fable and it's like 2 pages, go ahead and assume it's a fable. All right? You're looking from anywhere between a paragraph to like 2 pages. That's what we mean by short here. Timmy.
I had to make a book if it's over 2 pages.
I didn't say a book, it's a story.
I know, but.
You understand that a story and a book are not the same thing, right?
Yeah, I was definitely.
But some fables are made into books, so he's saying how you can make a story out of 2 pages.
Plus, most fables that are in the book only got like a sentence on it.
Tell me a fable that's been made into a book, so I know, because I can't think of one.
Like he said, the little pigs. That's a book.
But it's not a fable.
No, are we?
Right?
George of the Jungle? No?
Pause, let me think about this. Because it's not a story that's symbolizing something else. It doesn't meet the criteria for number 3. That's why.
Is it a roller fable?
That falls
I'll
under
say
a
that-
different category called fairy tales, and that's a different story altogether.
Well, can you give us an example of a
The
fable?
book says
All
fairy
right, I
tales
will.
and fables.
They're technically 2 different things.
What about Shrek?
Shrek is an example of a modern day fable.
Okay, then the book Shrek is over 5 pages long.
Yes, I know. It doesn't meet the traditional criteria for Shrek, for a fable, but for our case, we can use it as an example. But I'm going to give you more examples of fables later. Okay. So what we're going to do now, actually, is you're going to have a chance to practice looking at different stories and determining whether or not they are indeed fables. I need you in the next 30 seconds, to find 1 or 2 partners. 30 seconds. Okay.
Smart.
Listen up. When I say go, you are going to send up a representative to grab 2 pieces of paper. One will be a little slip like this. It has a story on it. Has a story on it. The second piece of paper is going to look like this. your responsibility is to read the story on the slip of paper as a group, and then you will fill in this worksheet, which is going to help you decide whether or not what you read is a fable or not. Now, 2 things to note. Number 1, I printed off the wrong worksheet. So there are a couple story titles that are not on here. If you find one like that, just go ahead and fill it in the white space. Just put it in some space. Okay? I'm not going to say that little bit again, so if you just check back in and you don't know what I just said, ask a neighbor in a moment. What you'll do is after you read it and you decide, you'll come swap out the story. We're going to do this for about 15 minutes, so you're just going to have a chance to look at story after story. What I don't want you to do is say have Ible do one, and then Locke do another, and then Muhammad do the third. The problem with that is, for the majority of the time, everybody else gets to do nothing. Plus, if you have an opportunity to look at 6 stories and determine if they're fables, but you split that between 3 people, everybody's only looking at 2. So I want everybody helping and working together. All right? Say again? Yes. So, come up and get a story and a worksheet for your group.
Here's the homework.
Everybody grab one. All right.
Wait a minute, I don't know. The farmer's daughter was